Okay, so we are checking heart rate variability right now.
Yeah.
You want to say your first name real quick?
Yeah, I'm Holly.
This is Holly. She's here at 40 Years of Zen helping me learn my HRV.
Your optimum breath rate.
My optimum breath rate. Okay,
Yes.
explain the heart stuff first.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to be finding your optimum breath rate. This is the breath rate that suits your biology best. And of course, we're a neuro company, right? We're working with your brain, so it's like, why the heck would we be mapping your heart?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And the heart is so important, and it's so beautiful, and it works so much differently than the brain, but it's just as important. And so the brain takes care of our consciousness, our cognitive processes, but the heart works in a very different way. And I do like to think of it as like frequencies and resonance and synchrony. So let's start with heart rate variability. Do you know what heart rate variability is? Scientifically?
I would like to know more.
Okay.
I would say I'm like, no, not
Okay.
very good.
I felt like you would know.
I track it okay, but I don't know exactly what it actually means.
And that's the craziest part, because so many people track it, but
Right.
we don't know what it is. And so, heart rate variability, it's the space between our heartbeats. We're measuring the space between our heartbeats. And the thing is we want variation. And so, when we have that variation, it's measuring our resiliency, right? Our rubber band effect.
Got it.
And so it's like, we're not a robot, right? We don't want our heart to be like a metronome, because if we're like, I'd like to...
I literally thought it was the opposite.
No, it's not. It's wild, and it's...
I thought it was like, how consistent is your heartbeat?
No, it's not. It's the opposite.
Oh my gosh.
But here, like, it actually makes sense when you think about it, because if you think of the heart almost as like if you're treading in the forest, right? You would want your feet to be able to take all kinds of terrain. If you're just a robot and you're used to stepping on the same ground, something's going to knock you and you're just going to fall flat on your face.
Yeah, that's really
But
good.
if you're used to this inconsistent, almost this variable tread,
Wow.
something knocks you off and you're like, I do that all the time. Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
Not come
No,
at me,
that's
bro.
good.
But it's like that's just life. I'm a human.
Yeah. That's wow. That's a really profound way to explain it. So you kind of like rubber band. You want it to be like all different.
Yeah, I mean, not so
variances.
much so where you like have arrhythmia, but it's actually a lot of variation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that. This is very important now that I understand Whoop and all those other things.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty cool. So, and so that definitely speaks to what's going to make or break our stride, kind of,
Yeah.
right? When it comes to stress, whether it be physiological or emotional or spiritual.
Yeah.
And then, so it speaks to our flexibility, our rubber band effect, ourselves, but then it's also what you're putting out into the world. Because the heart, right, that's a big pump right there.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, and it makes up most of our biofield. And our biofield is the magnetic field that's around us.
Mm.
And so it makes up most of that, 3 to 5 feet in diameter. And so you're outputting this signal to your environment. But you know what's even cooler is that your heart's actually taking all of it in, and it's synchronizing with it.
Wow.
So it's...
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like your friend coming around when you're feeling down and making you feel better just by being around you.
Yeah.
Or when you're in an audience, right? You go to a concert and you're like, man, the music was so good, but the audience just made it so much better. It was so epic. We did that. How did we do that together?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the heart. And that's our biorhythms. They all sync up
good.
with each other. And it also goes the other way,
Right.
where it's like you're in an angry mob, and you're
Sure.
like, oh my gosh, we tore a person apart, and I would never do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, you would never do that, but the angry mob would, and you were in this collective.
Wow.
So
That's good.
I mean, pardon the circumstance of COVID, but what kind of contagion do you want to be?
Right.
Right?
That's really good. Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way at all, actually.
Yeah. So we're going to find a breath that helps you get into good HRV the quickest, that helps you get into a place of I'm present and I'm here and it's all good the quickest. Give you a good rubber band.
Yeah.
And
I'm present, I'm here, and it's all good.
And all the while we get to breathe. We get to do 10 minutes of paced breathing, which is great for you and your system before we pop you in the pod.
All right.
Cool.
So how's it going to work? You're going to just give me different types of breaths?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're going to have 5 breaths. It's going to start quicker and work its way slower and slower in 2-minute increments.
Okay.
I'm going to hook you up to a bunch of chords. We're going to go over how to breathe with this, and I'm going to show you everything that will be on the screen.
Okay.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right. Great.
Should I look at the screen while I do it? Like, should I face the screen with the video? Or should it face me and we'll just record?
It's up to you.
Okay.
It can be either. The screen it's going to show a little bit of data. If you want it to face you, that's perfectly fine.
Let's see. I could do that.
Cool.
I'll just do that.
Perfect.
Never mind. I'll face it.
Here, you know what we should do? There's a guide. There's a little... Put this behind it.
Oh, keep it up? Okay. So we'll face it for me and then we'll do the breathing. All right.
Right. So...
And that's not going to be affected by all my wearables?
No, it
Okay.
shouldn't. And if I see anything, I'll probably have you take your whoop off.
Got it.
So you can, this is just going to go over your shirt. It's just going to be showing your diaphragm movement. So I'm going to just put this around you.
Sounds good.
So we want this to be where your diaphragm is, so kind of where your solar plexus, where your rib cage meets.
Okay.
There you go. Great. Thank you. Is that not too tight, not too loose? Okay.
Perfect.
Right. So we have, first we're going to put on your ground, which is going to be here. This will negate any electrical activity coming off of your skin, so we can just get your pulse.
Okay.
We'll have these on the insides of your wrists.
Okay.
This isn't too tight.
I can take it off.
Yeah, go ahead and take it off. Why not?
It's not a big deal. Mostly tracking workouts. This is different.
It's nice to track your workouts, isn't it?
Yeah. Mostly when my friends are competing.
Ooh, do you all have your whoops
Yeah.
on then?
Yeah,
Cool.
there's like 15 of us wearing whoops.
That's awesome. It must be a fun workout to work out with 15 people.
Well, everybody does different stuff. Some people do Peloton, some do CrossFit, some hike or run.
Oh, cool.
And we get to see like recovery and calories burned and HRV, which
Cool.
isn't the most accurate, we just talked about.
And you probably see how variable each person is too.
Yeah. Yep. And over time, like what's good for your body, what's not.
Yeah.
We're seeing like...
What are you
it's like
finding? What's
Well-
not good? I want to know.
long, sustained, not intense, like a hike. Or a not a kill you Peloton is good. And then maybe only a couple times a week an intense CrossFit. I used to do like 5 times and super intense.
Wow.
And it was not, I wasn't recovering enough.
Oh, yeah. The
That's what I'm
recovery's
realizing,
huge.
yeah. So 2 a week of those and then do a good hike or a bike for an hour or something every day, 6 days.
That sounds awesome. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to point out everything that's going to be on the screen.
Okay.
We're just going to pretend it's there because as soon as I click the button, it just starts you.
Got it.
So, you're going to be inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Do you have any, like, deviated septum problems breathing out your nose?
I've been punched, but I'm alright.
But you can breathe out of your nose.
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
most of the time.
Okay, well, if you do have any trouble, you can exhale through your mouth a little bit if you need to. And you're going to be breathing really normal. Like if you're walking down the hall here, right, you wouldn't really be able to hear yourself breathe.
Right.
So just the same, you're not going to be breathing too deep into your belly because that's a really big breath. And of course not breathing through the upper chest because that's stressful.
Got it.
your pacer is going to be a blue line at the very bottom of the screen.
Okay.
And as that blue line rises, you'll inhale, and as it falls, you'll exhale.
Got it.
So you're inhaling and exhaling as that moves along. There's going to be a yellow line that will be kind of moving with it. That's your diaphragm strap thing here.
Okay.
And so if you're like, am I inhaling and exhaling properly with this, you can just look at that yellow line and that'll be your indicator.
Okay.
If it's following it, you're on point.
So inhale up, exhale down.
You got it. And if you are more of a visual person or you like this better, there's a cartoon guy here breathing with you.
Okay.
I like to say he has an avocado belly. You can watch his belly inhaling and exhaling with you.
Okay.
Or I like to watch the arrows, the air going in and out of his mouth.
Got it.
So some things that are also on the screen that are interesting that you don't need to worry about. There's your heart rate. And don't worry about that because you can't tell your heart how to beat, right? All you can do is breathe. And so there's also going to be the frequencies coming off of your bloodstream. You can't tell your bloodstream how to have frequencies.
Right. I'm useless there.
Yep. And then there's going to be our smoothness factor down here, and that's essentially your heart rate variability. And if you're breathing with the pacer, that should be just fine. You're a healthy person. Yeah.
Maybe you could just, the
Show
next
the-
10 minutes is going to be boring, so you could show the screen for like 30 seconds and then just go back, and then people can fast forward if I'm breathing.
Yeah, I can certainly do that for you. Okay. Do you have any questions?
I'm good.
All right.
Just breathe.
Yep, just breathe. There you go. This is your pacer.
So fast breath.
Almost. Let's see if it calibrates. Gonna be inhaling. Beautiful. And exhaling. So this is a really fast breath pace, and we'll be working our way slower and slower in 2-minute increments.
Okay.
So we're going to go over 4 more breath paces, each getting slower for 2 minutes each.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Follow blue, right?
Follow blue. You're doing awesome. talking about the pacer and these pauses. How are you feeling?
Good.
Are you lightheaded at all? Okay. I notice your breath's getting bigger. If you're feeling lightheaded at all, it means you're over oxygenating.
Okay.
So if you feel that, just make your breath a little lighter.
Okay.
Here we go. You ready for the last one?
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. All right.
All done?
With the breaths, yes.
All right.
Way to go. So your heart rate variability as a baseline looks great.
Okay.
So your...
What should we see? Let's see if I can film this.
So they call this your smoothness,
Okay.
right? And I do like to see everything above 75%. That means you're healthy.
All right.
At 8.0, it was just below 75, but honestly, that's a pretty like fast, stressful breath.
Okay.
And so that's just fine. I kind of take this as our practice breath.
Got it.
So across the board, it looks really beautiful.
Cool.
Now, your optimum breath pace is 5.5 breaths per minute.
Look at that.
It's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, wow.
And there's a reason for that. Because we're measuring your heart rate maximum here. And essentially, I like to say that means it's essentially the determining how well you bounce back from a reactive situation, like a situation that would put you in fight or flight. So I use the example of, if someone is reactive, we say they went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what breath is going to take me from 100 to 0 the quickest?
Got it.
And that's what this determines.
5.5.
5.5. So that means that you're going to inhale for a count of 5 and exhale for a count of 6.
Okay.
And this is a smooth consecutive breath, no holds. And I do feel like that is important to say with heart breathing.
No hold at the top.
No hold either way. Like there's box breath and things like that, and the box breath is great.
Okay.
And if you have a breath that already works for you, use it.
Okay.
You want to unhook your cords?
Yeah, I think I can turn this off. Is there anything else specific?
I'm gonna tell you why we're gonna use this certain breath.
Okay.
I'm gonna do my spiel on that, and then we're done.
Okay. Yeah, do it.
Okay. So
I think this has been very helpful.
great. I'm so
By the
glad.
way.
It is very helpful, and it's nice because not everyone has a breathing tool. I'm gonna unhook this.
Okay.
So, as I said, if you already have a breath that works for you and you love it, use it. This is just another tool for your tool belt.
Okay.
If you are in a reactive situation and you want to still be present, but have your heart rate variability increase,
Yeah.
maybe your heart rate kind of reduce a bit, this is the way to go. I do suggest having eyes open as well. So,
Okay.
why would we elongate our exhale?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually a question I have.
Yes. So when we elongate our exhale, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system just a little bit. So if you think of, I call it the language of the breath, right? Because our breath speaks to us in so many ways that we don't even notice. So let's say I come up behind you and I accidentally scare you.
Yeah.
I tap you on the shoulder and you're like, oh, you
Yeah.
scared me, right? You do
Yeah.
this sharp inhale.
Yeah.
You're just slightly activating your fight, flight, freeze response.
Yeah.
But then if I'm like, dude, relax, it's just me, right? You're like, oh, you scared me so
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're...
Interesting.
I
Okay.
know. So that's the same thing. We're using that language to tell our body, it's all good. But we're not doing it so long where we're disengaging. Like when you come home at the end of the day and it's been a long day and you drop on your couch and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you do this long exhale. That's you disengaging. So we don't want to do it so long where you're not being engaged with your environment. You want to be in flow state, right? You want to be present.
Right.
You want to be engaged,
Right.
but you want to be acting on this circumstance
Yeah.
of it's all good and I'm present.
I found myself so often all of a sudden be like working, emailing on a call where I'm in kind of a little higher stress. I mean, work is stressful, but all of a sudden I'll go, like it's almost like I forgot.
To breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like daytime sleep apnea. And and I don't know why that is, if I'm either hunched over or I'm in this fight or flight,
Yeah.
where like all of a sudden I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I'm stressed right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, have to remind myself to breathe. I'm wondering if there's tricks I can use to just breathe through like a stress or a work thing that's higher stress.
Yeah. Yeah, breath holding is actually super common.
Really?
Yeah, actually I remembered later I did biofeedback at a young age because I was doing breath holding. I was doing it during homework. I was doing it when I played piano. And my piano teacher would be like, Holly, you have to stop holding your breath because the songs are just going to get longer.
Yeah.
And
oh
so,
my gosh, yeah.
so like, but when you're working, you don't want to hold your breath. You want that oxygenation in your
Right.
system.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Drew's coming out for the supplement talk.
Okay.
Oh, great. So I would recommend doing the 5-6 pace.
Got it.
There's an app called, there's a lot of apps where you can time your breath on there.
Yeah.
There's one called Breathe Plus with a plus sign.
Yeah.
And so you just put your time in there, no holds, and
Okay.
I would do that for 5 minutes a day,
Got it.
maybe more.
We're gonna add it into Hapbee too eventually, so our
Oh,
app will have
cool.
it too,
Great.
because it's like expanding and contracting. Ready?
Great.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
You're amazing. That was very helpful.
Yeah.